an associate professor of women's ethnic studies. She moved to Colorado Springs from Chicago in 2010 to begin her career at UCCS. Please join me in welcoming Stephany with her speech, A Willing Sacrifice.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. In the recent Toastmaster magazine, November 2015, there is a spotlight on a British club that gives a snapshot about breaking the ice. This club in Sussex, England, for new members, share an experience with new Toastmasters, those who are interested in their club, by taking a hike. Now, I know many of you in Colorado are looking like, that's a phenomenal idea. We have such gorgeous views and mountain trails and hidden waterfalls. We should do that for our Toastmasters. Please don't. Because if you want to find the quickest way to lose a Toastmaster, ask me to go outside. See, I am definitely a city slicker. Having grown up in Chicago, Illinois, to me, walking involves concrete and asphalt. So imagine my surprise when I moved down to South Carolina and I was thrown into this primitive atmosphere of no sidewalks. I am not your Coloradan outdoors person. While I know that many people move to Colorado for the beautiful scenery and the animals and the love and the enjoyment of the headache-inducing altitude, I am not that kind of girl. One of the things that bothers me the most, and I'll tell you a true story, when I was interviewing for my job at UCCS, the supervisor of the search committee asked me, well, before she asked me, she took me to Garden of the Gods. That's one of the places that people are thoroughly excited about living here in Colorado Springs. It's indigenous spiritual relationship, it's gorgeous beauty for many. And we were sitting in her truck at Garden of the Gods, and she asked me to get out and to begin walking. Now, of course, I'm on a job interview, and I don't want to look like a prude or someone who doesn't want to work here because I really need to get out of South Carolina. So I get out of her truck to go with her on the walk. And in the midst of this conversation, in the midst of her reeling me in and trying to figure out, am I the perfect candidate for the position here at the University of Colorado, she asked me, what would be the #1 reason for you not to take this job? Now, it wasn't pay, even though we all know that professors are just glorified teachers and teachers don't get paid well enough anyway, but it wasn't the pay. It wasn't even the fact that I would be moving once again by myself and not having family or friends to be around me and having a disrupted life. I looked her dead in the eyes and I said, you do realize this is an open zoo, right? You all have bear and lion and coyote and fox and raccoon. Heck, I've even seen a couple of squirrels that will check you if you're not in the right place around here. So the reality is I am not interested in being mauled by a mountain lion while walking from my car on campus. And she just stepped back and laughed. She's like, oh, it'll be okay, you will be fine, you'll get over that, and pretty soon you'll be out here hiking and living and camping in the woods. And I was like, this lady is crazy. She really doesn't understand where I am coming from. I am not ever a willing sacrifice. See, when I was a young child growing up, I understood that animals deserve their place and I deserve mine. And as much as I didn't want to disrupt them in their place, I didn't want them to disrupt me in my domestic space. So I respect animals in their natural habitat. And many people say, well, oh, they just won't bother you if you don't bother them. Tell that to the ravishing dog that came charging at me when I was 5 years old, just walking down the street trying to get to my school. So, when I was younger, my sister had a cat. And everybody's like, oh, well, cats are domestic, and dogs and fish, and they don't bother you. One day, I was in the middle of watching my beloved cartoons, and out of nowhere, here comes my brother running down the hallway, screaming and yelling all over the place, and we're like, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? And immediately behind him was my sister's cat, Coco, chasing and clawing and scratching all over him. And so me and my frustration, disrupting my cartoon, I politely got up, walked out the room, and closed the door. The cat and my brother, being left in the room, can handle whatever that situation was because I wasn't going to be the willing sacrifice. So I just politely went downstairs and told him, the cat is attacking your son upstairs. Mom, if you want to do something about that, it won't be me. And then in another time, and again, I don't know why or how we always had these kind of strange incidences, but another time, a bat got into the house. And here I am again. This is not my battle to fight. And so, my brother, being asleep in a room where the bat happened to go into, I politely closed the door and walked downstairs and told them, your son is upstairs asleep with a bat in the room. So when I finally was hired here at UCCS, the chancellor asked me, what is the one thing that you want your colleagues to know before you leave, or about you in coming to this position? Do not ask me to go on a hike unless you are willing to be a living sacrifice. I have no qualms about pushing, tripping, and outrunning any human being, regardless of age, if you want me to be outdoors, because the first law of nature is self-preservation. Thank you.